for dinner tonight. Okay. Good question, Whitey. Jason, what is one thing Scott Perry has to do that Monty McNair didn't? I know what mine is. I'm going to write it down to see if we're...
Okay. Well, mine would be, this is probably already needed to happen, and I'm not sure it's happened. But to me, it's about the job being defined as, quote unquote, my job. And what I mean by that is, like, generally, the general manager is in charge of basketball operations. Doesn't mean Scott Perry knows everything, but should be the final say. Should be the basketball boss. Now, you have a boss above you, as far as ownership.
Yes.
And I'm not against ownership. Should, this is me in my perfect world, which I know we don't live in a perfect world. If you were the boss of the owner and I was the GM, I would feel like if I came to you and said, I want to make this trade, and here's why. Let me give you 3 reasons why I think we should do this as an organization.
Yep.
And if I laid that out to you, and I feel like, of course, if I'm coming to you, I feel like it makes sense, and you agree, we're good. Let's make the trade. I made it. It's on me.
Right.
You approve, but you're the owner.
Yeah.
But it's on me.
Yes.
If it doesn't work, it's my livelihood.
That's right.
And every other move. Now, you can come to me and say, have you ever looked at this guy or this player or this lady as a coach or this man as a coach or whoever it is? No, but let's look at them.
Right.
Whatever. I think it could be a little bit collaborative, but I really think the basketball person in charge of it should be the one that's doing everything. So that would be where I would try to start. Now, is that a reality or a possibility? I don't know the answer to that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Even on the ownership stuff. Of course, ownership should be aware.
Absolutely. They can have us. I don't want to say a say.
They can be a voice.
Input, yeah.
Of a voice, and an important voice.
Right.
Look, the only time, in my opinion, an owner should overrule a basketball person is basically in a Nico Harrison situation. Like, if you come to me, if I'm the owner of the Mavs and you're the GM and you come to me and say, I want to trade Luka Doncic, if I think it's so egregious that I'm going to end up firing you anyways and I'm going to be stuck holding the bag, it would take a situation like that for me to even think about overruling my GM. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. The only other one I could think of, so that's a good one, would be financially. If there's something like, hey, headwinds.
Sure.
Right. We go, it's actually going to be a pretty rough financial year for our organization.
Yes.
Do what you can.
Yes.
To limit spending. Now,
or this is the limit we have to go to work with that program.
Yeah, granted, we have a salary cap. We got to pay our players. We got to pay our employees.
Yes.
But if we can, I would like to keep us under this number or close to this number.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind in any future moves you're making.
That is 100%. None of those things I think are out of line for an owner. When an owner is overruling a GM, when an owner is saying, I think we should do this, I think we should do that, let's try to do this, let's try to do that, we need that guy, we need that. No. Nope. So it's funny. I wrote down, you'll get it. You said it a lot clearer than I did, but yeah, what is the number one thing Scott Perry needs to do that Monty McNair didn't do or did and then stopped doing, or for whatever reason? Establish the fact that you have, within reasons, complete autonomy. And you pointed out the reasons and the exceptions.
Yeah. And then do we think that's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, track record would say no.
Track record says it will 100% not happen, but we also 100% didn't walk on the moon until we did.
True.
There's always a first.
And I think, I'm going to guess this. I think every move, I'm not explaining this right. I think Monty did have moves that were exclusive to Monty.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I'm sure, I don't know what they were, but I'm sure some worked, some didn't. Just that would be everybody's track record.
Yes.
One we brought up yesterday that you had brought up, that Vivek wasn't solely alone on this, but he wanted Luka.
Yes.
So if that's one where Vlade says no, I'm going to let you pick your pick. And Marvin Bagley, people liked Marvin.
Sure.
Marvin wasn't going 30th. Yes. Marvin was going to go 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
That's right.
He just went second to the Kings. And if I'm Vivek and I'm going, wow, that's a incredible miss,
right,
that I let go. That's a tough one. I'm trying to be the owner too, where you go, all right, I allowed you to make that pick, Dave, but remember who I told you to take?
I think in that situation when we're having the conversation, and if I'm sitting there and Brandon Williams and Vlade Divac are telling me, Marvin Bagley. I would love to say, going back as the owner, I would have overruled them and said Luka Doncic. I don't know that I would have, because I wanted Luka, but you got to trust your guy.
Absolutely.
But what I would do is I would make sure that, guys, you better be right about this, because this, just so you're aware, this is a fireable offense. Yeah. If you are willing to put your jobs on this, I just want to be completely transparent. Go ahead. And if it works, I will praise you top to bottom.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work and you miss on this, you're not going to be here in a couple of years.
It's funny that you say it that way. There's someone, so when I was in management here, there was someone in this very building. His phrase would be, are you willing to put your desk on the line, meaning your job?
Gotcha.
And there was one time I'm like, yes, gotcha. I am.
Yeah. Okay.
So but I don't know if it gets down to that. I bet it does in some situations.
Now, when that manager was talking to you, I assume that it was actually like just literally your desk and you'd have to stand and work, or okay.
I think it meant
the
job.
Meant
yeah.
more.
And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
I stand behind that.
Just here's my
Different
desk.
person.
I don't even like the desk.
Yeah.
Was it that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So sounds like a that guy thing to say.
I'm pretty sure we know that guy.
Yeah, we know that guy.
Is there something else that would be on your list for Scott Perry?
Certainly we could get into, if we're talking roster moves.
Yeah.
If we're talking, trade, or talking to players, do you want to be here? Yeah. But to me, that's like, I just bought a Ferrari. The engine is broken, but let's focus on the paint.
Right.
Like, for me, it starts and stops. Even without ownership having the voice that ownership has had, it's already a tough enough job that you need a little luck to be successful in by itself.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be successful if ownership has trained itself to think that, hey, I know what I'm doing.
And I want to believe, and it better be this case, that those conversations from Vivek and Scott Perry already happened as far as his intrigue in the job, Vivek's intrigue in him.
Yes.
That knowing, like, it's not going to be a surprise if Vivek all of a sudden said, blow it up.
That's
like,
right.
I would hope Scott Perry would know, no, he doesn't want to. This is the plan.
Yeah.
Want to be as competitive as possible. I mean, whatever their plan is,
yes.
I think they got to be in lockstep on that. And Scott Perry would have to know that before even accepting the job.
Being perfectly honest and transparent, if I had to bet money and I was betting against somebody who knew what was going on, I have no reason not to think this. If I had to bet money, I would say none of that has happened. I would say that Scott Perry, when he talked to Vivek Ranadive, took the job, accepted every parameter thrown out there, because it's 1 of 32. He's unemployed. Now, this isn't a disrespect. I'm not even saying I blame the guy. It's a hell of a salary. It's a hell of a position. And who can blame the guy for saying, okay, well, he's going to find somebody else that's going to do this. So why don't I go ahead and say what I'm going to say and come in, and maybe once I'm in, I can do things a little bit different, or I can handle him. I would be shocked if Vivek Ranadive and Scott Perry had any conversations where there was any sort of like, now listen, I'm going to need you, Vivek, to X, Y, and Z, and I've heard these things, and you can't. I would be shocked if it was anything but, oh no, I can work with that. Nope, I agree with you on that. Oh yeah, I think we should do that. Yeah, we're in lockstep on that. There is no evidence from the past or reason for me to think anything but that. And by the way, and again, no disrespect to Scott, I don't think he has any leverage. I don't think he has any. He's sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah,
he has
hire someone else.
They'll go, oh, you don't want to do it? Cool. It's not like you're a knockdown, drag out name. We'll go find somebody else. Here's Bob Myers. Here's this guy. Here's New Orleans.
Griffin.
Yeah, exactly. Lastly, and we do have to leave here, Scott Perry will join us tomorrow at 8:40. So nice. Alan Stiles will be carrying the coverage today, starting at 10 a.m. ish. Scott will join us tomorrow at 8:40. We'll take a break. Couple more things I want to talk to you about in regards to Scott Perry, and then we'll get into some playoff recap stuff. We'll do that next.